Hi guys, today I wanted to do my very first book review, and this is a book review to The Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. And if you haven't heard of this great book, it's actually a detective novel. It's a crime slash thriller slash detective novel, and this is actually my very first time reading a detective slash crime fiction novel, and it's actually also the first time me reading an Agatha Christie novel. Now, if you don't know this author, she actually she writes crime. She used to write crime fiction back in the 1930s. Those were the times. And the reason why I'm doing a book review is so I want to do something different. My channel is actually a reaction channel, but I wanted to do, and I'm gonna do quite a bunch of book reviews that I'm planning to make. So I'm not just this novel, but also I do plan to make a book review on Poison Study in the Chronicles of Ixia series by Maria V. Snyder, as well as Saigami Volume 2, which is a manga that I wish to do a review on, but after I finish it, though. I haven't even started it. I haven't even finished Apple Black, which is another manga that I wish to do a review on, so it's going to take some time, but I just want to show you that I do read. So yeah, so let's get on to Agatha Christie, Murder on the Orient Express. Now this, so I decided that I wanted to read the book before I watched the film. So hopefully I can find a download link to the new film adaptation of this book. If you don't know, that recently there's been a film adaptation made of this novel, and it's basically, and I haven't watched the film, so and apparently there's some changes to it. Let me know in the comments if you actually watched the film. Don't give me spoilers regarding like what's changed and stuff or anything, but do let me know if you have watched it and whether you liked it or not. I'm still gonna like react to it. If I can find a link, I'll hopefully react to it one day. But this novel though, now I haven't watched any crime fiction, as I said, but I really did enjoy reading this novel. Now, let me get on to the non-spoilery review where I just read from the blurb. So basically, the blurb says, yeah, that's at the back. Like, I got this edition because it just had like the best cover in my opinion. So the blurb goes, "The murderer is with us on the train now. Just after midnight, the famous Orient Express, which is a train, is stopped in its tracks by a snowdrift. A passenger lies dead in his compartment, stabbed a dozen times, his door locked from the inside." That in itself intrigued me. Like, how did the murderer escape then? Like, if it was locked from the inside. Isolated by the storm and with a killer in their midst, Detective Hercule. Okay, I have no idea how to pronounce this guy's name, but I think it's Hercule Poirot or Poirot. He's a Belgian detective, must identify the prime suspects from a scornful and impatient array of foreign passengers before the murderer decides to strike again. So, what did I think of this novel? So, that's the non-spoilery like description. Well, I will say that I find Hercule Poirot as a detective, he's quite calm and very intelligent. Like, he can figure things out quite, I mean, not very quickly, because there were a lot of suspects in this, in the train. So he had to like interview a lot of people in the train, but it's only on the second class section, one of those compartments, like those that were nearest to Ratchet. So let me get on to the actual spoiler part because I can't actually say much. I mean, okay, so the non-spoiler part is that Hercule Poirot, this is already in the blurb by the way, so he finds out there's been a murder in one of the compartments. Someone died, a passenger died, and that passenger is I can't say it. Okay, how am I supposed to say it? Non-spoilery. So he just basically interviews a lot of the suspects throughout the novel, and in my opinion, it does take a bit of time to get to like the juicy information because like a real investigation, it's going to take time to really get like an idea of the um who the killer might be because some suspects are lying and other suspects give out clues as to who it could be. So let me get on to the spoilers now because I have to say some stuff. The person that turns out to be murdered is a guy called Ratchet. Ratchet turns out to be a very um what's the word? He looked quite evil. Let's put it that way to Poirot, and Ratchet actually told Poirot that he needed help because he thinks someone is out to kill him. Now this happens in the first few chapters, and Ratchet then later on gets killed in the train in his own room, in his own compartment that he was in. So that happens around just after midnight. So the train stops, so it doesn't like continue on to make other stops because of this murder. So um so Poirot, he was actually on his way to Calais, which is in France, but because of this murder investigation, he has to figure out who killed Ratchet and also find out Ratchet's identity. We find out in a plot twist that Ratchet was actually a criminal, a very bad man. He killed a 3-year-old child called Daisy Armstrong, and he his actual name previously, birth name I guess, was Cassetti, so he changed his name to avoid suspicion and to avoid being uh, put to jail by the police. So he had to change his identity, but the reason how Poirot was able to find out Ratchet's real identity is because of the note that was left near his body. He was stabbed a lot of times, sometimes really brutally and other times quite subtly, so it was quite confusing to Poirot at the very beginning because he thought that, I mean, he had the doctor to like help him out, like examine the wounds. Like, was it done by a woman who was a bit more gentle, or was it done by someone who was right-handed based on the stabbings? Or was it done? Some of them were like really harshly done, so they weren't entirely sure whether it was a female or a man or even a bunch of people. So we find out that okay, it gets a bit slow in the middle because he goes through all of these suspects that he interviews them, and some of them do provide quite interesting information, such as one of the suspects, I can't remember from the top of my head because there were a lot of suspects, but one of the suspects said that they they saw someone wearing a silk scarlet kimono, and they were heading in around near Ratchet's compartment at the time of the murder. So Poirot wanted to interview all the women and ask them, do you have a silk scarlet kimono? But that actually turned out to be a lie. That was just like a red herring. Like not there was nothing to go on with that, and it was just so confusing because all of the women, they were like, no, I only have like a pink kimono or silk thing, like, and so it was quite confusing. But Poirot, as he continued to interview them, he got other information, such as like some of them, they were quite shady. Like they wanted to like not give too much information to Poirot. I can't say specifics because it was like a month ago when I finished this book, but I think it was Miss Dragomirov that sounded quite suspicious to me anyway. Like she was quite secretive about certain details. And also there was Mrs. Hubbard. And guess what? This is actually the plot twist at the end. So at the end, Poirot comes to two solutions. The first solution, when I mean solution, I mean the theory of who actually killed Poirot. I mean, Ratchet. So the first theory is that a stranger, complete stranger, just came into the train and killed Ratchet and then stormed off. He escaped already. That is the first theory. The second theory is that all of the suspects that he interviewed all were in this together to kill Ratchet, because a lot of them had connections to Daisy Armstrong, the person that Ratchet killed. So of course they were going to do this for revenge. That turned out to be correct, that theory. The person that committed the crime was Mrs. Hubbard and the other suspects with her. So it was just like I was so mind blown that all of them were in this together. It was just like, wow, yo, like I mean, Poirot is clever to have like figured that out because it was all done in like one day to investigate all of this. So props to Poirot for being like really intelligent and figuring out like, oh, this person's being a bit secretive. This person looks like they're hiding something, because you know, like detectives, they have to like analyze your facial expressions, your gestures, your body language as they are interviewing you. So, Mrs. Hubbard actually turned out to be Daisy Armstrong's mother. She's actually an actress. So, Mrs. Hubbard is not actually her real name. Her real name is Linda Arden, who is Daisy's grandmother. So, she's did this for revenge. That's her motive. She wanted to kill Ratchet for killing her granddaughter. And also, I think her mum as I think Daisy's mum as well, I think, killed. I'm not sure, it's been a while. But yeah, like I mean usually villains like they have like the cruelest motives, but to be honest, I don't entirely blame Mrs. Hubbard and the others for like helping her with this murder. So I think she said that she wasn't the one that stabbed him much, or well, some of the stab wounds on Ratchet were quite harshly done. So I think she got help from Colonel Arbuthnot. Um, I'm not entirely sure, but God, this novel though, like at the beginning, it starts off quite slow, because it's just like you want to know the setting, and also like you know, like because he's interviewing all these people and they're not even giving much information, and I'm just like, come on, man, I want a clue. And then it finally gets to the clue around the midpoint about the scarlet silk kimono and like certain items that were found near Ratchet's body, like the button that was left behind that was dropped on the floor. So, and also the note that gave away Ratchet's identity. The note said, "Remember Daisy Armstrong." So that's how Poirot was able to find out that Ratchet was Cassetti, the guy that killed Daisy Armstrong. So yeah, it's overall though, like it's brilliant, this novel. I'm glad I read the book before I watched the film. So if I do end up making a reaction to the film, then I will like make comparisons. I mean, if I remember certain details. I don't remember every single thing that happened in this book, but I will pick up on certain things that happen in this book that are different in the film, because apparently the film made quite a lot of changes regarding like names and stuff. Some of the characters' names in this, they're a bit weird, to be honest. But anyway, um, yeah, I enjoyed this book. If I had to give a rating, I'd give it around 4 stars out of 5. It's brilliant, but I think the middle just lagged a bit in like tension. I expected like someone to give out a clue just a little bit earlier on rather than like the second half. Um, but I really liked Poirot's character. I think he's very intelligent, very calm as well, and yeah, just a gentleman as well. So yeah, if you wanna read it, go ahead. I think it's awesome. So yeah, that's my first book review. Um, let me, if you have read this book, let me know in the comment sections what you thought of this book. um I think it was awesome. So yeah, that's all I had to say for this book review. I will do more book reviews on Poison Study, which I have almost finished. um I mean, I'll just do like these book reviews like sparingly, like not like every single week or something, because I don't have time to read like so many books. But like whenever I can, I'll upload it. So yeah, stay tuned for more.